Today, I am here to talk to you about Metabolism Macros, which is the first component of the MAMA method. Our focus today is going to be on weight loss versus fat loss and on calories versus macros. So if you haven't met me before, I'm Kelly. Reach out and introduce yourself to me. I'd love to connect with you. So I am a nutrition coach, a pharmacist, a wife, and a mother of 3 kiddos. I'm busy just like you. Honestly, I don't know many women that aren't busy. I've been through this fitness journey before, and I continue to set new goals. I've learned a ton through my experiences, along with extensive application-based training in nutrition, weight loss, metabolism, women's health, hormones, thyroid, and mindset. So in my last video, I taught you that metabolism macros are the most effective, efficient, and enjoyable way to lose weight and keep it off without giving up your favorite foods, feeling restricted or deprived, all while getting to eat the same dinner with your family. So what is so special about metabolism macros? I mean, isn't it really just about calories? Well, yes and no. To lose weight, you need to burn more calories than you take in. That's just the law of thermodynamics. So yes, a calorie deficit is required. Calories are at the base of the weight loss pyramid. And that calorie number is dependent on your age, your gender, your height, your weight, your body composition, your prior dieting history, exercise, lifestyle, and several other factors that are unique to you. And that's why often those online calculators aren't always able to give you the best starting calories for you, let alone macros. You need a custom plan for you. And we'll get there, but here's the question for you. Do you want weight loss or fat loss? Because the answer to this question is where macros comes in. So let's take a look at what impacts the scale, what impacts weight. Weight loss is not the same as fat loss. Sometimes you will hear people using these terms interchangeably, but they do not mean the same thing. And that's because weight loss or weight gain simply means that scale going up or down. And that can happen if you need to pee. That can happen if you eat more food one day. That can happen if you gain or lose muscle mass. That can happen if you gain or lose water weight. And I've listed a bunch of reasons for scale changes in the slide. So a weight change doesn't tell us very much about what's going on. Weight loss is a very generic term. And what most people want when they say, I want weight loss, is they actually want to lose fat. They want to see the scale go down, but what they really want, is what is leaving their body to be fat. So Metabolism Macros takes it a step further and defines what weight you are going to use. Weight, which includes muscle mass and water or fat. And you want to lose the fat, right? And when you actually lose fat, your body shape changes. And you see visually in the mirror that changes that you want to see. And when I talk about this concept, this is one of the visuals I love to share. It's a picture of me weighing 145 pounds. And on the picture on the left, my body composition is very different. Now, unfortunately, I didn't take very many pictures of myself in that before stages, so I don't have a bunch of examples for you. However, you can tell, and I definitely can tell, that I have a much higher body fat percentage and a much lower muscle mass percentage in the before picture. And then on the right, the weight, I weighed the same amount, but my body looked totally different. And that's because I have more muscle mass and less fat mass. And that's why focusing on fat loss rather than weight loss is so important. And they can happen together, but that's the concept I want you to understand. So if we're not going to focus on the scale, what are we going to focus on? Well, the scale still matters. The scale weight is a data point, but it is just one data point. So I like to collect many. And then you will start to see trends, and maybe the scale bumps up several days before your cycle. That's why I like to do a daily scale measurement, because you start to see these trends more. Maybe you see, like I said, several days before your cycle, you might go up or down, or maybe during your cycle, or after a salty meal, or after drinks. For me, drinks, it's down the day after drinks and then up 2 days after drinks. So measuring daily just gives you more data, and you could see the trends in yourself and the changes that your body makes on a daily basis. If you only measure one day a week and it's the highest day or the lowest day, it throws off all the data. And fluctuations are normal. Some have a daily fluctuation of over 5 pounds. So I recommend weighing yourself first thing in the morning, after you go to the bathroom, and before eating or drinking anything. Okay, so the next one would be measurements. I like to take measurements weekly. They need to be at the same spot every week. The measuring tape does a much better job of identifying fat loss instead of just weight loss. And then pictures. I do these at least once a month. If you're lifting weights, flexing measurements will be beneficial. Building muscle takes time. You think weight loss is slow? Building muscle is an even slower process, so keep going. Okay, other measurements that you need to be keeping track of include how much you are lifting at the gym and making sure you're increasing those weights as you go. Sleep, stress, energy, mood, how your clothing is fitting. And you may not believe me yet, but 9 times out of 10, if I get a bad night's sleep, the scale will be up that next day. Now, that's not fat, but it's data. Lack of sleep and stress, those can increase your cortisol levels, which have this ripple hormone effect that can cause weight gain. So it's important to track all of these factors. Okay, so now that you know the difference between weight loss and fat loss and how you're going to track it, you may be on board with, let's lose some fat. Who really wants to lose a bunch of water weight or lose a bunch of muscle? And I hear so often that women want to look toned, but toned really isn't a thing. We don't tone the muscle. We can lose muscle, we can maintain muscle, or we can build muscle. But I think what you probably mean when you say you want to get toned is that you want to lose the fat and actually see your muscles. And we can do this with Metabolism Macros. So what are macros? Macros are actually a shortened word for macronutrient. And a macronutrient is a nutrient that our body needs in large amounts, hence the word macro, which would be different from a micronutrient, which is the nutrients that our bodies need in smaller amounts. So when I say the word calorie, I feel like most people have that concept that calories are in food. And we know when we look at a food label, we can say, oh, okay, an apple has 80 calories in it, and this cookie has 300 calories. And it just means that our body, when we eat that cookie or that apple, it derives 300 calories or 80 calories from it. It's where our body gets the energy from. So most people, you understand calories. You've heard of calories. And calories come from carbs, carbohydrates, fat, and protein. Now, just a side note, there is a fourth macronutrient. Alcohol is a separate macronutrient, but unlike the other 3 macronutrients, it's not considered necessary for human life. Now, some of you may disagree, but it's not essential. You don't have to have it. Okay, but why do we care? Why don't we just focus on those calories? Why do we need to care? Why do we need to care that some of those calories are coming from fats, and some are coming from carbohydrates, and some are coming from proteins? Well, the reason is because they each do something different in your body, and we need all three. So, protein is the boss of body recomposition. It's responsible for building, repairing, and maintaining body tissue, especially the muscle. And protein helps to repair and build those tissues, including things like the cell membrane. It's the macronutrient that keeps us the fullest, longest. It requires the most energy of the macronutrients to digest, and that's called the thermic effect of food. Now, carbohydrates are often demonized. I love carbs. They are our body's ideal energy source. It also supports muscle growth. When we eat carbohydrates, our body changes it into a form of sugar called glucose that can be used for energy. The glucose, in turn, is then changed to glycogen, a form of sugar that can be easily stored by our muscles and in the liver. For every gram of glycogen, you store 1 to 4 grams of water. So when you cut carbs, you lose water weight. And if you ever notice, so that's why a lot of programs that like go low carb, you initially lose a lot of water weight. Now, if you start to notice that you crash after eating carbs alone, pay attention and pair it with a protein to slow down that digestion. Okay, and then there's fat. Fat is really important for absorbing vitamins. It's really important for hormone production. Your brain is at least 50% fat. Fat is the most calorie dense, though, of the macronutrients at 9 calories per gram. So you want to both make sure you get enough for hormone support and vitamin absorption, but you also want to watch the calorie consumption that comes along with fats. And so when you understand this concept that yes, all of those provide calories, all those macros provide calories, but they do it completely differently in our body, it starts to kind of make sense why we just can't blanket say calories, because all calories are different. They do different functions and they can be adjusted for different goals. So more to come. I'm excited to share more with you about Metabolism Macros.